Hi guys, welcome back. Hey, let's get into this singles storyline. Here we go. All right, so we are starting out with a 10 of Swords in the reverse. So there could be something painful, there could be something sad, and it could be prolonging the pain or the sad. This is, it's trapped energy, it's stuck energy, it's an empty room that somebody's still sitting in, and they're not quite beyond this yet. This could be a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Wow, we have the Five of Cups also. Okay, whoever this is really bummed over an ending that they can't get over. I don't know who this person is yet. Hi, everyone. So great to see you. Takoria Burt, wonderful to see you. AC, D. Rogers, Decoded, Denisa. Oh, sorry, I just knocked over some of a deck. It's okay. We're not going to use that one. We've got a Prince of Wands upright. Okay, so if we have a character that is unhappy, that is sad, that feels like something is over and ended badly, they only have themselves to blame in this particular single storyline. If they're single and they don't want to be, it appears that they were inconsistent. That, or maybe they're trying to sit here and decide, okay, maybe should I do this? Should I do that? Should I try to reach out? Should I try to... Okay, so it's a Two of Cups. I can see why they would have some hurt, pain, and unhappiness, but that indecisive energy in regards to a very important connection. You know, the Two of Cups, this always feels like this was, somebody standing there at their wedding, or they should have, oh, there's some song trying to bust in my head and I can't think of what it is. And it's something about like they're picturing what it should have been. Or maybe they stood somebody up at the wedding, or maybe they talked about marrying somebody and then they stopped talking about it and even ran away. We got the Hanged Man sideways. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and please remember it could be a feminine, but right now we have only masculines showing up. So I'm going to say him. He could be a Pisces. He was indecisive. Even here with the Hanged Man, it's like there's delays, but then he knew this. Okay, the Two of Cups is always upright. So we definitely have, he is the single person right now. He's single and solo. We don't know where his Two of Cups person is, but we can say that the storyline opens up with possibly a masculine who is in this place of an absolute longing and distress over a very painful ending that they can't get over. However, it appears that it is them that created the ending. True, they can't shake it, they can't forget it, they can't get over it, but they also were not ready for this kind of a connection and the seriousness of it, even though they knew that it was that serious and they wanted this connection. And we saw them get wishy-washy about it. Now, unfortunately, this can even be somebody who still keeps dating other people, even though they know darn well who it is that they really want and who they're really in love with. So all of that could be a bit of a problem here. Let's see here. Hi, guys. We got a Four of Cups. God, we keep getting remorse, regret, sorrow. I mean, he's going through it right now. Okay, so he's sitting here. I'm hearing Buenas noches from a lonely room. This is, I don't know. There's something here that it's like, yeah, good morning again. Once again, here I am sitting here bummed out. Once again, we have the Lover's card sideways. They're not making any progress toward reconnecting. Instead, it's just like they sit in this permanent, like, I wish I had her still. I wish I could be with her still. Okay, so they're waking up lonely. They're going to bed lonely. Can we ask about her? And I'm going to say her only because there she is on the card. She could be a Gemini. It doesn't have to be. He could be a Gemini. Okay, so High Priestess. So she knows he's lonely somewhere out there. She is a High Priestess. She's very, very empathic. She's not showing her face, though. She's keeping herself out of Dodge, possibly on purpose. She's just aware, yeah, I know he messed this one up with me, or I know that he knows, but I've moved on. She's moved on with the Chariot. She may be surrounded by a lot of friends. Her life could be very busy. Her social calendar could be really, really full. This is a feminine again on the Chariot card, but she got her wolf pack. Maybe she has a couple dogs that kind of look like wolves, or maybe she likes the, like that kind of, animal, or she herself is roaming around only with people that she feels really connected to. So wolves are interesting because, they're pack animals, but they're also free. The alpha pair does mate for life. So there's freedom combined with loyalty for her. But I also feel like she's living a good life, but she has moved on from this. Is she single? Four of Pentacles, she is single. She may live someplace fairly isolated, and she may like it that way. She may live out in nature. She could be kind of nature oriented in general. Someone who likes to be around, wild creatures, and that might suit her wild nature. She, again, is intentionally holding back and pulling her energy back while intuitively recognizing I had to move on from that person. And I know that they know that I've moved on. Yes, she's single. Got the Two of Wands in the reverse. That is totally by choice. There is a reason. I'm guessing she's probably the kind who says, I have to move on and do what I have to do. She's very conscious and very connected to her intuition. So for her, moving on was a very conscious decision. Also staying single for a period of time. Like, I don't believe she's the kind of person who says that she wants to go, the old saying, if you want to get over somebody, get under somebody else. Yeah, that's definitely not her. That's not how she rolls. She moves on. She spends time with, friends, family. She fills her life with awesome social engagements. Maybe she volunteers at the local pet center. She's there for, other creatures. She's living a life connecting to nature, but she's not intentionally seeking anyone, or hasn't been. And that was by design, probably because she needed to heal, is what I'm guessing. And she knew it. Five of Pentacles. Look, I am not saying at all that she's like, no, I stayed single intentionally so that I knew someday they'd really miss me and then they'd come back. I don't think that that's it. But we do see, and I'm sorry, this card is very, very, very specific. We see him standing here, and obviously a bunch of time has passed because we can see his hair has grown out. He's all furred over. But he's pulling back his luxurious locks, and we're seeing right over his heart is this spot where this is home, right? What he's longing for is home. And I got to say, that's where she is. Now, keep in mind, she's an intuitive. She's going to be able to feel, even though she moved on and really has no intention of taking any, not even like baby pinky fingers amount of energy and reaching out to him with it. What she has done is, because she chose to, because she was in the place where she wanted to be single, that's what she's done. But she has also known, I think, that he was going to go through some experience. Maybe she knew he was a lonely soul to begin with. Maybe whatever reason made him not connect to her or not follow through with. These two were supposed to be married. On his mindset was, she's the person I'm going to marry, supposed to marry. I feel like this is a soul contract, but I'm going to be all wishy-washy. She moves on. She's not tolerating somebody wishy-washy, but she also wasn't out looking for somebody else. Maybe she was hurt. Maybe she knew, I have to heal. But I also know he is going to miss me. I also know he probably already does. We can see that that is the case. We got the Two of Pentacles upright. In her mind, look, there's been a lot of growth in her life. She may have focused more on her money, her career. You notice that she's got, her mind on the money and the money on her mind. But this feels like, if we're talking about balancing things, weighing things, and again, I want to be so careful how I say this, because I never want characters to wait for another person, right? Especially someone who's going to be indecisive, like way better to move on in life, live one's best life. But she actually has, again, her intentional choices. I actually want to go live up on a mountain. She may have moved. Maybe she's moved to a mountainous area. She's focused on money. She's focused on developing other things in her life because of her own personal choice. However, she does also know that there is some cosmic balance that is going to come into play. And almost like maybe this is the karmic shift that she knows is going to happen. The day that he really, really, really misses me is the day that it'll be like I may be either free of this, and then I will meet someone new. The day that he's completely like really feeling my absence is the day that maybe I move forward with somebody new. And she would be attuned enough to recognize that, you know, or the day that he actually realizes that is the timeline that he'll either come back into my life to balance things out with me. Look, here's the tough part. I'm sorry that we got a Two of Cups storyline for single characters, right? But I don't get to pick the cards. What comes out is what comes out. She has truly been single. He is single. Now, I don't know if he was always single. That Knight of Wands says, I'm not sure if he was trying to still figure himself out. And so he was wishy-washy with a long-term connection, or the idea of moving into a long-term connection, or if he was still dating other people while knowing she was the right one for him. I don't know about that. But on her side, she's intuitive enough to know the universe has a way of balancing all things. And maybe it takes time, but it somehow gets balanced after all. Christy Peruso, thank you, my love. Christy, is it your birthday? I see birthday cake. You know I love, my name is almost cake, right? It's Kate, but it's almost cake. And in fact, little children have frequently called me Cake instead of Kate. And I always said that was so cute. But is it your birthday, darling? This Seven of Wands says, blockages until there could be growth. Okay. Oh, Christy, if you can stick around to the end, I'll pull one card for you just to say a proper happy birthday to you, if you let me. Seven of Wands is growth. It's a divine number. It's also about expansion. It's also about somebody who's like, they needed to get beyond their own blockages. And once those blockages are over, that's when the growth will continue, which is basically what we saw here. I'm not saying she's been kept in some kind of stasis until he was darn good and ready. I'm just saying that there is more to this story that continues now that there has been, like, he's hit that point where it's like, I have so many regrets. That was my person. What the hell was I thinking? Now it's over. It's devastating. And it's like, you know, sometimes the universe is like, you need to sit in the, you know, poopy chair for a bit. You need to feel how crappy that behavior was. You need to sit in what you just lost and know it for a little bit, so that then some balance can be restored, so that then you can have grown as a person, finally recognizing what you lost because you didn't treat it serious. And then meanwhile, something, I don't know what's going to happen here with this. We see a change, right? 7 is a number of change. But okay, great. Christy, I see your response. But this feels like we have a shift coming up. Okay. We get the Wheel of Fortune. It is in the reverse. It isn't quite yet, though. He's still sitting in the lonely space, and she's over here kind of like moving forward in areas of her life and becoming more and more aware. So she may be thinking about him a lot because she's feeling his sorrows. She's very stable, but her money could start to surge, or other things in her life could really start to blossom. I keep feeling like this is, you know, I'm surprised we don't have justice, because it feels like the scales are tipping right now. I'm not saying that this is like, ooh, he's being punished and she's going to get everything. The storyline isn't over, but some things are being recalibrated. Can I say it that way? We have the universe. We have the moon. Every time I get this, I always have to crack up, because I have owned this for years. And that is what is painted here. It's a music box with all the zodiacs around it. And like, you know, the Greek gods and goddesses and ancient ruins there in the background, and all of the zodiacs are carved in the side, and it lights up and plays music, by the way. I'll tag the product for you guys, but when that one comes up, I bought this deck years after I've already owned that, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's my music box. So I just think that's always really cool to have like a serendipitous crossover. This whole scenario that we got going on is about new beginnings, but it's also like the universe works in mysterious ways. Okay. Closing cycles, starting new ones, all of this that had to play out between them, not had to, but because of personal growth and because of the way humans evolve over time, and because two people that interact with each other sometimes help each other to grow, or help each other to, like, you know, blossom in certain ways, or point out where their stumbling blocks are. Look, this was a mess, and now he's in a lot of grief and a lot of pain. She's over here still flourishing, but aware that he's in grief. They are not ready to come back into any kind of like harmony, nor are they done interacting with each other. And this could only be they're still interacting on the 5D realm because she's still feeling their energy. Maybe she always will because they're a Two of Cups, but the universe is stepping in and saying, hey, it's like that music box, like as the song plays out, as the world turns, these two met each other to have impact on each other, the likes of which they still don't know the end results of, because the moon is here. So new beginnings that could go almost any direction. Okay, universe, you're not helping me out very much, because this is starting to look like, so what's going on? What's the, it appears that we have him seeing everything through butterfly wings, like little goggles made of butterfly wings, which means his vision of everything has transformed. I don't know what that means. How does, we see him sad, but we don't see much more of a change. Can we go back to, I want to know about that Prince of Wands. I can't figure out if he was still in a spiritual growth phase, because we actually have like a totem here. This card gets a bad rap for being like, oh, they're a player, they're a cheat. It really doesn't have to mean that at all. Our knights are action takers, and he in particular is trying to follow like his passion, his heart, and exploring things. But sometimes the reason we explore is to figure out like where we belong, to figure out, to gather information. You don't have to be cheating or looking for another lover to still be trying to figure out, where do I belong in life? And just because it's a totem there, it makes me think it's less about him being like some cheater. Let's see. 9 of Cups. It was definitely about personal indulgence. Him, it seems like a very immature person, if especially this is all about gluttony. And man, 8 of Pentacles, he did not want to grow. He didn't want to learn his lessons. He didn't want to, I'm going to say this is somebody who didn't want to grow up into a full-grown adult. This is, nobody could tell him nothing. Nobody could give him any advice. He didn't want to learn. He didn't want to step up and be a grown-up. Okay, so at least in the past, this could have been somebody who simply was like not ready for any kind of a grown-up relationship, because it was, like squirrel, I just saw something fun. I want to go do that. I want to go do this. No concern, no consideration for a relationship. This would be the equivalent of somebody who's like, I'm going to buy a car that only 2 people can fit in, but I happen to have 3 kids and a spouse. But I don't care. I can't even afford this car. I'll have to spend all my money just to try to hang on to it. I won't be able to really pay rent or provide food for my kids, but I want to do that because I want this fun car. Like that kind of behavior is kind of what I'm describing. It's just only about what I want, immediate gratification. It's not even on their radar that, hey, you have other responsibilities, or hey, you'd go further in life if you, like cared about more than your fun car, or your, in this case, your luscious grapes that you're going to gobble down. It just feels like they could love somebody, know that this person's really important to them, but still be in such a selfish energy. Now, there might have been a reason for that selfish energy, though. There could have been a reason that this person was, overindulgent. Maybe they'd been tied down too tightly previously, and here they are, like let's say somebody was married for a while, divorced, and now they're like, I'm going to explore everything that I didn't get a chance to from 18 to 30. It could be that. It's just simply, it doesn't have to mean they're a bad person or that they're a chronically irresponsible person, but rather maybe they were in a place where they couldn't sit still. Like I'm getting like a fidgety energy off of them, and just like they need to race around and get as much joy as possible. Still, wrecks of connection. That's for sure, especially a really important connection. Can I ask about you knowing that this was a really important connection, character? Queen of Swords. Ooh, she's serious. They didn't want to have serious conversations. They might have been like even intimidated by her, because the Queen of Swords, especially this one's like, every word that you say will be weighed and measured. And if they keep coming up as scattered and, running all over, the more she's going to ask direct questions, the more they're going to want to run away from answering those direct questions, because the only answers they've got is it's all about me, 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 me. Well, she's definitely going to judge them for that. Even if she doesn't say it, simple questions put to them they're going to know that they're being, basically it's uncomfortable to have somebody acknowledge, even with simple sentences, truths like you're very self-indulgent and you're being very selfish right now and you're not ready for a real relationship. She didn't have to say those words, but that's exactly what would have come across. So I'm thinking that they probably didn't want to deal with that. Even though they knew she was the one they wanted, it's like, why did I have to meet her now? She's so wonderful and I'm so not ready, and I will only feel intimidated by her when she asks a direct question. And the only answer I could give is, well, I decided I would just indulge me in whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, instead of think about a relationship and building something. So they were just like, oh my God, just wild. Okay. Again, we don't even see it being like wild dating everybody. I think it was just more like whatever they were interested in, wherever they wanted to spend their money, whatever, trips they wanted to take. Maybe they were suddenly one week saying they're going to go backpacking across Europe. They got a wild hair. They're going to go do that. It's hard to have a relationship with somebody when you're like, I'm sorry, wait, you quit your job and you're going, oh yeah, but I'll be back in 2 months and I'll just find another job. It's like, so what's going on? I don't understand this. So I'm thinking they were very scattered. They were not suited to be in a relationship. Then can I ask this? Because I'm a little bit annoyed. Universe, this is supposed to be a single storyline. Obviously, they should have been single. They should not have even met their Two of Cups at this point. So universe, why did these two meet? Because I feel like she's getting kind of screwed over. Like, why'd she have to meet somebody who is that immature? The Chariot, but this time it's him riding in it. Okay, I'm not going to say I like this, but I don't get to pick the cards. So please forgive the messenger here. The universe is like, because, let's go back to that card of home. Because someday when he grows up, sorry to say him, it could have been a her too, but we got to go with what's on the card. When he grows up someday, he's going to come on home. But I'm sorry. Not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed. I still don't get it. What about her? Universe, give her a message on all this, because I still feel like, but why? Why did he even get to meet her? So then he gets to eventually go toward her. But meanwhile, she's the responsible party who also basically kind of gets jilted. And then she has the responsibility to go off and take herself into the mountains and, say, I'm not ready to date anybody. I'm going to focus on, again, more grown-up stuff. Why does she always have to be the grown-up and he gets to be the kid? But then he also, when he's damn good and ready, he gets to come in and be the grown-up and get a freaking prize. That's where I'm a little bit annoyed by this story. And I'm sorry, but I'm always going to be sassy mouth Kate, because I want my characters to get what's fair. That's all it is. I just want my characters to get fair treatment. I didn't feel like that was very fair. But the universe says to her, and this is interesting, the universe says, oh, she should have told him to go to hell. 5 of Swords. Kick that little selfish, to the curb and go live your best life. Your life goes on, feminine. You should have not tolerated that. No. 5 of Swords is, it is a sassy, sharp message, and she is a Queen of Swords, and she might have actually told him off. Now, I'm not saying ranting, raging, screaming. I'm just saying that the universe says to her, sometimes giving somebody a real harsh truth, because this is not nice. Okay, this is not delivered sweet and kind. This is not like, well, let me support you, and I know you just need to spread your wings, and you somehow get to be more immature than all the rest of the world because you must need it, but the rest of us will have to adult, and it sucks, but you should have all the consideration. Oh, hell no. She gave him a dose of reality. You think I'm going to deal with this immature behavior, this disrespectful, this rules don't apply to you, but they apply to everybody else? No way. You don't get a piece of this anymore. No slice of this pie is going onto your plate, child, because you need to grow up. You're like, I think she probably said it. And the universe is like, yes, she needed to say that. And she probably did, because the Queen of Swords, and she probably said it way better than me and probably not as sassy as me. Queen of Swords has a way to say just what's necessary with no venom. She's the Queen of Swords in the upright. So she didn't say it mean, even though this says it might have been like, you stay away from me. You don't deserve to be around me if this is the way you behave. Again, she probably said it better. I just only have my pitiful vocabulary and this sassiness to infuse. But with the World card, the universe is like that. She was supposed to put up a boundary with them and let them hear what their behavior actually is, and then let them know you have to grow up, you have to change. Meanwhile, I'm moving on without you. So I think that, let me ask, universe, did that make an impact? Because I'm thinking the universe is like, oh no, she was supposed to say her piece. Did it make an impact? 7 of Sacred Circles and the Wheel of Fortune at kind of a funky tilted angle. It did over time. And in fact, I have to say, so, God, this is going to make me sound so horrible. I'm so sorry to say it this way, but those words have probably been banging around in their head like a freaking pinball machine that doesn't stop. This says over and over and over and over. The words that she said have been in their brain. And the acknowledgement that at any point in time, they could have and should have matured, done better, found what they were looking for, cultivated themselves into a person who was, like more grown. They should have already done it. They're wasting time. And that sense of reality check, maybe she's the only person who ever gave them a sincere reality check. And keep in mind, her words might hit in a way nobody else's words would, because they actually do love her. They always did. They knew she was the one, but they weren't ready for the one because they didn't want to grow up yet. This feels like, look, there is no worse, I'll say, repercussions for our actions than having to sit with somebody's accurate judgment and assessment of our behavior. And they know damn well she was spot on. And they know damn well she's the one that they actually wanted. And she's the one who has a pretty poor opinion of their behavior. That sucks. To be disappointed, to have somebody that you actually do love be disappointed in you, and it's for valid reasons. That stings. That sits. And it was perhaps the only thing that would have made them, over time, because they've been stewing on this. 7 of Pentacles is a long time, but it's the only thing that also made them start to actually maybe genuinely grow. Because how long do you want to sit with that knowledge? Every word she said was true. And I'm going to stay this way. I can't, I got to start trying to clean up the things that she pointed out. And maybe she pointed out 7 reasons that their behavior just sucked. And it's like every single one of those, I could clean up. Hell, why didn't I clean up? I should have cleaned up. Well, now they have, but here's the crazy part. It gets worse now that they've cleaned up their act, because now they're sitting there and it's like, I'm not the man I was before, or the man-child I was before, woman-child I was before. It doesn't matter what gender, right? But I'm not that person anymore, but I still lost her, and I lost her for valid reasons. And the more responsible we get, the more it sucks the way we used to be. And the heavier that burden is of the cringeworthiness of the memory of our own past behavior, and knowing that somebody that we really did love had to see that ugliness in us, had to actually put up a boundary with us, had to kick us out for our bad behavior. I mean, how sucky would that be? So then they got to sit and stew in that. Not only did it hit home what she said, but then once they've started to make some transformations, which is what these cards say they've actually done, now it's more cringy because, oh God, that's actually who I was, really, really who I was. And now that I'm not that person anymore, it hits even worse. And then, and only then, once they get beyond that kind of karmic, cringeworthiness of thinking about their behavior, will they possibly step up to being, only emperors and empresses get to ride in the chariot. So we're kind of seeing them transition from being a knight that's scattered all over the place. And then we don't see them become a king. We see them jump all the way ahead to the emperor. And it's because they moved through taking responsibility as a king. And that was during their time in purgatory, we'll call it personal purgatory for their behavior. And then finally they mature into a full-blown, I am going to be more than that jerk I used to be, but I'm also not even going to be a freaking king. I'm going to be a full-blown emperor. It's the only way maybe I can redeem myself, redeem my energy. And until the day they come back in like an emperor, then they still haven't grown. It's not enough for them to be a king. In this storyline, they can't just match her as a king and a queen. They actually have to come in as more. She was a queen of swords, but she left them as an empress. The day that she did that chariot of her own, that's the day that she became a full-blown empress, putting up a boundary with them, possibly even having, like said, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to deal with you anymore. It's because this, and this behavior. When she drew a line in the sand, that was her moving from a queen to an empress. No wonder they have to match her as a full-blown emperor. It's the only chance that this relationship has, or let me put it this way, not even a relationship. Let's say it's the only way that there can be a restoration and a balance brought into things. She still may not want anything to do with him at this point, but let's say for them to discover that, like, okay, mission accomplished. If he hadn't met her, maybe he would never have grown. If she hadn't told him to go to hell, maybe he never would have grown. She had an impact. This situation had an impact on them both. She became an empress because she met him. He became an emperor because he messed it up with her. These two have actually bettered each other, which is maybe the best way to look at a Two of Cups. They're going to influence each other. They have even similar lessons. She was a queen, he was a knight. They both needed to become an emperor and an empress. The routes that it took for them to both step into those energies, obviously were, different methods, but she had to learn how to put up a boundary. He had to learn how to actually grow up. And this has happened. So universe, can we ask one last question and just say, is there something still between them, or is it just like mission accomplished? I mean, we see him coming forward in the chariot at some point. Three of Cups, the universe says these two have some things to talk about on an equal level as mature adults. Okay. When is he moving forward then? Ace of Wands. This is like, I'm going to say the word tomorrow, but I don't mean like tomorrow, the 24th, but rather like perhaps tomorrow as in, in the upcoming, not distant future. This is, new sunrise. We've seen this whole storyline has been set in the presence of huge disappointment, right? Those were our first cards out, is that he was sitting in a painful ending that none of that pain was lifting. Pain is one of our greatest motivators to change. If you've ever touched a hot pan that you didn't realize was hot on your stove, you never moved so fast in your life. Pain motivates us to move away from the painful stimuli. In this case, the only way he can move away from the painful stimuli is to move toward her. She is the safety zone. Talking to her, facing her, is actually not scary anymore. It's the only thing that's going to alleviate some of that hurt. So I'm thinking it could happen pretty soon. We have the World card and we have Green Man, which if we go back, Green Man was there on that Seven of Wands card as well. So we have him twice. So we definitely have the evidence of tremendous growth. We've already had the World card, which that was the Universe card. Look, there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot that these two could potentially recognize how much growth there's been. And yes, they could start a new cycle. I don't want to say that la-di-da, now they're going to be this perfect lovers match. It is very potential, but maybe these two are not going to be romantic partners. Maybe it's like we can finally meet each other eye to eye. We can talk about the past, and heck, these two could be friends for life. This is emotional bond at minimum. And this is, thank God we actually met and that I did get to grow. Thank God you told me to go to hell, because you know what? I needed somebody to give me that reality check, and you were the queen to do it. Maybe these two are just going to be two people that know, thank God I met you. There's a song by Roy Orbison that's called God Love You. And I just feel like that is maybe appropriate. Is there any potential for a do-over in romance for these two? Hanged Man. All right, you guys. Sorry, I do not know what the little buffering zone thing is, but you guys should be able to see and hear clearly again. This looks like because that hanged man with the two different branches of the tree of life, to me, this says they may not be a couple after all. They may have completed their journey together, and now it is time to go in different directions as better people. But hanged man leaves us with the question. It could be either or. What is the bird trying to say? What is the, we do have somebody or something here. We have a 10 of wands. I see you're cracking me up. The bird who is the guide here is saying, at minimum, count themselves lucky that they had this tremendous growth, that they can lay down old burdens. If these two are going to try it again, they will not bring any of the chaos of the past. They won't even look at the past again. They'll have a fresh start together. There won't be any of the lingering memories necessarily. It could be kind of a crazy like mind wipe where they barely remember what the past was like. After they sit down and have this conversation, after they sit down and they see how much growth there is, it almost could feel like that chunk of time from when she told him to go to hell, and then they, for quite some time, had to grow and grow and grow. That whole chunk of time, the purgatory, could almost be forgotten, almost like it happened to some other couple, and they could start fresh. It's one or the other extreme. They're either gone and, she's not going to take them back. She's going to be finally free of this. They'll have completed their journey and she goes off with somebody else. Or these two have a brand new beginning together. The thing is, they won't know what's going to happen until they sit down and actually talk to each other and have this dialogue, because that is what's going to show that there's so much transformation that has occurred. That this is about them having a contract together. That's probably why she still has been connected to them, because the contract was incomplete. It's like if you've ever had something that you started with somebody, but you didn't get to finish it. It doesn't matter how many years pass. When you see them, you will still remember where things left off, because those emotions are still sitting there. There's something that needs to be addressed. There's an apology or something that still needs to be made. Nobody forgets. But finally, that can be addressed. And then the conversation, or like putting somebody on hold on the phone for a really long time, and then finally coming back and, picking up the phone again and saying, sorry about that long wait. Let's go ahead and finish this conversation. And then we can either hang up or we can set another date for, let's talk some more. Let's get this thing going. I don't know. This is kind of a choose your own adventure story for these two. I don't know what they're going to do. There's a very good chance that they actually end up together and they are happily ever after. Very good chance for that, but I can't say for sure. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Everybody take good. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry, EM. You're a sleep deprived person. And I'm so touched that you're up and alert and here in the storytelling when probably you should be slumbering. I hope you get some really good rest. EM, you're not going to take a nap right now. Well, you certainly deserve one whenever that time comes around. Hi, Robin. AC, Rice and Beans, Violet. Hey, sweetie. Beautiful Disaster. Wonderful to see you. You guys are so awesome. Only Violet was the winner today. Beautiful Disaster, Jenizen. Christy, let me pull a card for you right now, sweetheart. Thank you for being so patient. Miss So, the Peaceful Observer, D. Rogers, Carl. Hey, guys. Esoteric M. Hey. AC, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't even see the chat. You guys. Konnichiwa. I love that. We actually had a cat that we named Konnichiwa. AC, you're gifting me donations while saying hello to Violet. You guys are so beautiful. All right, you guys, let me go ahead and jump on in. Christy, let me pull a card for you. I think that we will go with, I want a kind of a colorful, bright, there we go. Colorful, bright deck. And again, thank you for being so patient, Christy. We've got a 6 of Cups. We got the Hermit. So we do have a message of soulmates, but that seems to be what is on his mind. And that's the song that I'm hearing because I got you on my mind. You think you love somebody. God, I can never think of who sings that song. It's a female. Is it Ellie Goulding? I can't remember. Um, but this feels, on one hand, very sweet. This is reminiscing. We may have a Virgo masculine that is spending some time by themselves and they are thinking about a soulmate. Now, this could be somebody pining for a soulmate that they haven't even met in this lifetime yet. But we definitely have a masculine who is reminiscing. And here's the thing, with a card like this, or a collection of cards like this, when somebody is thinking of something that they want, the Hermit is in deep thought. In deep thought, serious thought, deep consideration, the kind of consideration that you put into something before you actually take action and go make those things happen. So we're just seeing it before action is taken. This is somebody who's single, solo, they're cleansing their energy field, they're getting themselves grounded and centered, and they're manifesting. This is another way to manifest, when we really focus on something that matters to us, and we feel the depth of how much something matters, how much we want something, that comes before we actually go get it. And so I would just say that we definitely have a divine masculine that is on his way, fairly soon anyway, on his way to go out and get what he wants. Not at the moment. He's still sitting in silence, which is probably better. Get his whole head wrapped around things, get his energy aligned, get his main focus where it needs to be. Because then you move forward with genuine action. Almost like, okay, let's say, Seven of Pentacles. He's been sitting thinking about this for a long time already, but we're about ready for the harvest. But the analogy I was going to use is, let's say you want to remodel something in your house. You might feel the desire to remodel for like a year. You might even have an image in your head of what you want the finished product to look like. And then finally you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to start the remodel. But you don't just walk in with a sledgehammer and just randomly start swinging. Once you're sure of what you're going to do, then you actually put in more serious effort to figure out actual measurements. Maybe you make some chalk lines. You figure out which wall is going to be removed. You shop around and figure out what's going to replace that wall. Is it support beams? Are you putting in a window? You buy those things, you call contractors, you get stuff really sincerely ready to go, and then you actually start making stuff happen. So it's kind of like a several step process. Even though when you're going to do something, there's still several more steps of preparation before action is taken. So we do have, in this case, we have a masculine who has been like saturating their mind with the concept of what it is that they want, and we're just about done preparing to get ready. We're just about at go time. That's what it looks like to me. Somebody could spend some time outdoors. They may live in a beautiful area. This always looks like the Peruvian highlands, or somewhere in Spain, or someplace, I don't know, this could be any mountain range, but somebody who spent a lot of time outdoors. He may be very outdoorsy. This could be somebody who needs to be around nature in order to help clear their mind and get their thoughts really centered on what it is that they want. Now, of course, this could be a feminine as well, but someone's been solo who is now thinking, I would really like to be in companionship with someone that I feel really close to. So that's maybe the other part, that their soul has been getting ready for companionship after a long period of time of being solo. All right. Oh my God. How did this get so long? Holy smokes. You guys, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you being here. Lots of love, you guys. AC, you're so cute. You guys are adorable. I love the fact that you guys are so playful with each other and so kind. Oh, it is my pleasure so much. Christy, it's my pleasure, sweetie. Eat some yummy birthday cake. Violet is going to have cupcakes and slices of cakes for you. I can see it in the emojis. Esoteric MU Beauty. Thank you, everybody. You guys are so nice to each other. I can't tell you how much I appreciate and adore this community. All right, you guys, lots of love. Bye for now.